just like chops everyone off, okay? She's like, so Durga is like Kali light. But the Kali energy is very beautiful in its own right. It's the Divine Mother whose ferocious form is meant to jolt us out of this world of appearances. The problem is we get excessively sucked into this world of appearances and we get enmeshed in the world because of all these sense organs and engagement with the world. And we feel this is it, this is reality. So sometimes it takes a very ferocious form of the Divine Mother, Kali. So was so attuned to a beautiful form, the ferocious form is meant to wake us up. It's like the way the lion pounces on you in a dream and wakes you up. Same with Kali. But when you want to work with Kali, you have to be truly prepared to surrender because you are no longer in charge. She decides when it ends. So it's like having sex with an 800-pound gorilla. You are never done until she's done with you. Alright, so that was Durga. Just getting warmed up here. So as I said, the easiest way to understand these deities are not outside you, they're within you as archetypes, okay? And you may have archetypes from many traditions. Like for instance, the sun god in the Egyptian tradition is Ra, Amun-Ra. The same sun god from the Roman tradition is Mitra, and the same sun god from the Hindu tradition is Mitra or Surya. So the names are similar, even though the archetypes are thousands of years and thousands of miles apart, because these are universal archetypes. Interestingly, Mitra, the Roman god of the sun, was born around 600 BC, and he was born on December 25. He was born of a virgin mother. And he was a traveling preacher. He had 12 disciples. And when he died, he was resurrected later. Sounds familiar. The sun god later morphs into the son of God. The point is, these are all universal archetypes. Okay? There's always been around. But these Hindu and Buddhist archetypes have persisted, whereas very few people work with Isis, Athena, the Greek, Egyptian, Roman archetypes, and there's a reason for that. And that's because the entire philosophy of self-realization is embedded in all these symbols, like the mouse of Ganesh, the sweet, axe, nose, broken tusk. There's deep meanings in here. So when you truly understand and work with this deity as your archetype, and there are 4 practices you can do, and I'll talk about it, it is meant to lead you to your own journey to self-realization. And you may have 1 or more archetypes. Okay? It's who you connect with. And we all don't choose the same. It's like eating at a buffet, right? You choose what you like. Or in college, not everyone chooses the same major. But the point is, you work with your deity, and yogis have been doing this for centuries, and what you're doing it is elevating your archetype to consciousness, to the highest. That's why when you study the source texts of these deities, the Puranas, every Purana will elevate that deity to the highest. So if you read Ganapati Puranas, Ganesh is the man. If you read Devi, Mahatmya, Durga is the main archetype. So it depends on what you read. And you have to have that overall sense of maturity to understand that you're elevating the deity to consciousness, which is without name and form. Because the moment you put a form on consciousness, it's limiting. So in this tradition, consciousness is infinite, it's without name and form. Okay? So we each work with our own archetype, but we don't put down another deity. We don't get all Taliban about it, right? So the only beheading we do is a bhakti beheading. Yeah, we go from here to the heart. That's bhakti. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Yes, sir.
I have heard that Kali originally represented the universal mother goddess and not just the black colored pole. Is that what you
That's right. So the question is, he's heard that Kali represents a universal mother goddess, and absolutely correct. In fact, she's the goddess of space and time. Kala means time as well as space. She's black because it's the color of the void. She also takes you beyond time. Because when you analyze what time is, it correlates with the thoughts in your mind. When you are engaged in doing something enjoyable like a good hobby or a good movie, time goes quickly. Or if you are driving and looking for directions, the last half a mile takes forever. That's because you have many thoughts. So time is related to the inverse of the difference between your thoughts. So you have many thoughts, time goes slowly. If you have fewer thoughts, time goes very quickly. So Kali makes you go beyond time by making you unattached to events. When you're truly detached, there is no time. Okay? The clock time comes after the Big Bang. It's truly a figment of our imagination. Time in this tradition is also circular. It's not linear. So for instance, Shiva and his wife Parvati or Shakti got married, and which deity you go to for new beginnings? Ganesha. So they actually did a puja to Ganesha at their marriage. But in the story, Ganesha comes later, right? When his head gets chopped off. How do you figure that out? Okay? The reason is time is circular. We are conditioned to think time is linear. Okay? So the whole thing with these stories are they meant to take us beyond time and space, to realize who we are. The other big misconception people think is, this is a religion. Hinduism is a religion. Huge, huge misconception. The word Hindu never existed in the Vedas at all. The word Hindu did not come about until 1830. And it actually came from the British, it didn't come from India. Because the whole tradition of yoga has been spiritual experiences versus religious belief. A spiritual experience is what you feel when you dream, when you meditate. These are all experiences. Even this is a spiritual experience. A religious belief is what you believe. You believe in heaven, hell, or you don't, it's your belief. You can argue, you can have a debate, it's what is written in scripture. Whereas with a spiritual experience, you can apply logic, we can have debates. The Indian tradition is a lot of debate. Even atheism is accepted in this tradition. It's quite remarkable, provided you can argue and debate. So when the British came to India around the 1800s, they found the Indians engaged in different spiritual practices. Some were doing yoga, some were doing meditation, some were chanting, some tantrikas were smoking dope or ganja, which was legal at that time, and thinking of Shiva. So the Western British mind, which is used to monotheism, sees all this and says, hey, not quite cricket, right? So at that time, the people of the Indus Valley River were called Hindus by the Persian traders. So the word Hindu was strictly a geographical connotation. So the British made it a whole religion and called it Hinduism. But even the Indians have bought into it. But it's never been a religion. It's a set of spiritual practices. You can actually be a good Christian and still work with the deities because it's your own spiritual practice. It'll make you a better Christian. That's what Hinduism is meant to be. Wherever you are, it enhances your spiritual experience. Okay? So let me talk about the dancing Shiva. If there is a symbol of Indian art, it is the dancing Shiva or the Nataraj. So I know you got a beautiful one. And you got another one. Just out of curiosity, how many people have got murtis from me? Wow. I think you all took pity on me over the years. Who's this dude slapping on these murtis? The dancing Shiva, the Nataraj, is the archetype of anyone in change in their life. Be it a new relationship, a new spiritual path, a new business, a new move, anything radically new. It also is the archetype of anyone stuck in a rut and they want to evolve. Okay? They want to get out of that rut. So the circle with flames are flames of creation. We all create our own universe. And that's because anything that happens to you, good or bad, is because of what you've done in the past. That's karma, right? We've talked about that. Some of it comes from an earlier life. That's why inexplicably good things happen to bad people or vice versa, you know. Or inexplicably children get murdered. How do you account for that? The theory of karma accounts for all these. Okay? It's a theory. There's no proof. It's a theory. Okay? So the circle of flames are flames of creation. At the same time, we have free will. It's like, you know, we teach a lot to the Jungian psychotherapist community. There's a community of about 5,000 psychotherapists. The headquarters in Seattle, we've been going once a month. And the Jungian psychotherapists, you know, they work with their clients with these deities and symbols to help their clients deal with issues such as trauma, etc. So what we teach them is like pain is real, but suffering is optional. Right? Suffering is your choice, whether to get entangled with the pain or not. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is, when stuff happens to you in your life, that is karma, but we also have free will. Okay, the free will is your choice, whether to get entangled with all that emotions and all that. Okay, so that's shown by the flame Shiva holds in his left hand. It's the fire in your belly you need to transform. You're getting out of your comfort zone. You know why I like the room this time? It's pretty hot. This room has been really one of the coolest in the whole Bhaktifest. You know? I've been speaking here for like 6 years at every Bhakti and Shakti Fest. And often I see people like sleeping because, you know, they've been out there dancing and ecstatic chanting. So it's a nice place to chill and sleep. But I see fewer people sleeping. It's too damn hot. But one more tip, if you sleep, especially during Shavasana and yoga, here's a tip to not to sleep. What you do is you lie down in Shavasana, keep your hand this way. So when you nod off, it just wakes you up. Yeah? Okay. The flame Shiva holds is the fire in your belly you need to transform. That's his hair. It's like long dreads. So you have dreads, if you dance ecstatically, you become the dancing Shiva. And that's the drum, the damaru, which is the pulse beat of transformation. Everything in the universe is vibratory with the energy of Shiva. Even this inert platform is vibrating. There was a 10th century Sanskrit text called Spanda Karika, which talked about the universe as spanda, vibratory. That's something the physicists discovered last century. When you embark on change, the old thoughts and old relationships, they drag you down. And that's represented by this figure at the bottom. This is called the being of forgetfulness, apasmara. The word smara in Sanskrit means to remember. Like the Bhagavad Gita is a smriti, a remembered text. The Vedas and the Upanishads are shruti, a heard text. Nobody wrote them. It's been heard by these rishis over thousands of years in deepest contemplation and communion with the self. So we have this Vedas, the Upanishads. So you cannot alter those. Okay? The Smritis are, for instance, the Puranas, the stories I tell you. And Joseph Campbell said, he was a student of Carl Jung, he said, myths are lies that expose us greater truths about ourselves. So I'm going to tell you a lot of lies right now. So this being of forgetfulness represents the stuff in our life that holds us down. So what Shiva does is he steps on his butt, right here, and he crushes it. And he teaches us life is about creation and destruction simultaneously. You have to push the old to bring in the new. It's not, it's common sense. But here's what happens during conscious change is we worry about the results. We worry about the results because it really comes from our ego. Our ego wants predictability.